The scene is North Kingstown, Rhode Island, the site of the Quonset State Airport, formerly Quonset Naval Air Station. It's the setting for our show. I'm your host, Bill Rock, and I'll be joined this afternoon by 7-time U.S. aerobatic champ and 1980 world aerobatic champion Leo Laudenslager, and Airshow announcer and producer and aerobatic pilot George Meter. Now, in addition to the commentary and the visual excitement of today's aerobatic performances, we're going to take some side trips. Our first is Hammondsport, New York. We'll drop in on the celebration of the 75th year of naval aviation at the Glenn Curtiss Museum. And we'll talk with astronaut Wally Schirra. See another aircraft designed and built by the Rutans, who flew around the world in a similar craft called Voyager. We'll take a balloon ride with world record setter Rocky Aoki. Meet the man who does a hair-raising specialty act and calls himself the Flying Farmer. Fly with the world-famous Blue Angels and meet number 6, Lieutenant David Anderson. And we'll take you flying so that you can get a wing's eye view of aerobatics. Plus, we'll see the test flight of an airplane some say flew 2 years before the Wright brothers. And the test pilot, actor Cliff Robertson. It's all happening this afternoon right here on Airshow.
To Michelob.
T. Rowe Price, mutual fund experts.
They give you choices. Over 20 stock, bond, and money market funds.
T. Rowe Price helped my money grow. That's the bottom line.
No sales commissions, no transfer fees, no hidden charges ever.
So all our money gets invested.
No brokers. I pick the funds and switch when I want.
T. Rowe Price gave us the confidence to invest.
If you'd like to earn high income from government-guaranteed securities, consider the T. Rowe Price Ginnie Mae Fund. Its current yield looks very good. Call T. Rowe Price at 1-800-446-1445 for details. Best of all, this mutual fund is one of the few totally sales commission-free ways to invest in Ginnie Mae's. Call T. Rowe Price now for
a wide choice.
Professional management.
No sales charges.
It all comes down to confidence.
Call T. Rowe Price at 1-800-446-1445 for free Ginnie Mae Fund information.
When your throat's awfully sore, Chloroseptic Spray relieves it awfully fast. How fast? So fast. When he starts to feel relief, we'll end this commercial.
All the names, all the games, all the time. Only on ESPN.
Jim Parker is an accomplished airshow performer. He owns and operates Parker Aviation from an airport nestled in the mountains of Vermont, where he's a distributor of sport aviation aircraft. Jim produces many air shows in the Northeast, including this one, the Quonset Show.
Jim Parker now with the 4-point hesitation roll on takeoff. 1, 2, 3, and the 4th point of the 4-point hesitation roll. In the pitch special, Jim pulls the aircraft up over the top and starts a rolling maneuver he calls the Parker House roll. One roll right after another, all the way around 360 degrees and continuing, and Jim gets to the inverted. Pushes up outside 2 to 3 negative G's trying to pull him out of the cockpit. Jim having gone to vertical now and rolling the aircraft, setting up for the torque roll. The torque of the engine now taking control of the aircraft and rolling it as Jim slides it backwards through the smoke and toward the ground. Jim now recovers the aircraft in a near vertical attitude and setting up for a maneuver known as the Lumshavak. The aircraft will tumble out of control for 2 or 3 seconds now. Jim entering the maneuver, and you can see the aircraft tumbling and rotating through the sky out of control, and Jim recovers the aircraft in a near vertical attitude. Setting up now for another one of his specialties, the double inverted ribbon cut. 2 ribbons stretched across the runway about 5 feet apart. Jim rolled to the inverted and setting up for the bottom ribbon. Let's watch. As Jim takes out the bottom ribbon, Let's go back for slow motion and look at it one more time. Just barely missing the top ribbon with the wheels, and another angle. You can see he cleanly took the bottom ribbon without touching the top. And back for the top, and Jim has it, rolling the aircraft 180 degrees. Jim's pit special, along with all other aircraft, use control surfaces. Let's take a look at some of the control surfaces right now. The ailerons are actually small wings that are used to bank the airplane. In an aileron roll, they serve as the primary control. The rudder controls the yaw, or side-to-side motion of the airplane. It allows the pilot to properly align the aircraft for a particular flight path. For instance, the rudder is used to initiate a turn. The elevator controls the pitch of the airplane. For example, the elevator is the primary control for the loop. As the control stick is eased forward, the elevator deflects downward. As the stick is eased back, the elevator deflects upward. The side-to-side motion of the stick controls the ailerons. The rudder pedals are connected by cables to the rudder on the tail of the airplane.
In addition to producing and announcing air shows, George flies aerobatic maneuvers. We put a camera inside the cockpit of his Belanca Decathlon. Well, now that you know a little bit about aerobatics, what makes the aircraft do what they do, and what the pilots have to do to make the aircraft perform that way, let's watch the mirror aerobatic demonstration by Montaigne Millet and Daniel Halliguen, known as the French Connection Air Show.
And as we watch now, entering from the left, the French Connection Air Show from Dutchess County, New York. The stick goes to the left and rolling the aircraft 360 degrees all the way around. And Montaigne gently rolls her aircraft into an inverted turn, and right tucked in extremely close to her is Danielle doing the mirror image. The mirror turn, 360 degrees mirror turn.
Because of the overcast conditions here at Quonset, one doesn't really get the full impact of the beauty and grace of this team. Earlier, we took our cameras to the Aviation Day celebration in Concord, New Hampshire, where blue skies gave us a beautiful setting for this aerial ballet. We also went aloft with our camera to let you see what Danielle sees from the canopy. I asked him when they began flying formation if the separation between the two aircraft was greater than it is now.
Yeah, you need a lot of practice. It's a many year and a many hour of formation flight to be close like that. Yes, when you start, you really would be in a part.
How much of it becomes second nature after a while?
It should never come too much second nature. That's when you get in trouble. Complacency is biggest killer. If you think you've got it and you can do it perfect every time, you're in trouble. You have to work at it every time. But of course, you know, there's a lot of reflex, and it's probably less tiring now than it was when we started. But it's never automatic. It's you always have to think. You always have to look. You cannot just jump in the aircraft and say, "Let's go today."
What's your great escape? Golfing? Fairmont's got it. A mile-high, 18-hole course with a complete pro shop. If swimming's for you, we've got that too, indoors and out. 2 hot pools and 2 huge swimming pools, naturally heated and open to guests 24 hours a day. Adventurous water lovers of all ages will thrill to the new 350-foot high-tide water slide. Whether you love the golfing or the swimming, or just meeting some very interesting new people, your great escape is waiting for you at Fairmont.
One of the aspects of any air show that everybody likes are the military jets, and we have some for you this afternoon, right, George?
Absolutely, Bill. The United States Navy and the United States Air Force will be performing for us.
And the Navy will have the F-14, the Air Force will have the F-16. Let's watch the F-16 go through its paces. The F-16 Fighting Falcon, one of the most widely used jet fighter aircraft in the free world. Manufactured by General Dynamics, it's flown in America by the Air Force, including the jet aerobatic team, the Thunderbirds. This one was flown in especially for the show from Luke Air Force Base in Arizona.
This aircraft is one that uses a computer to control the flight controls, and they work in conjunction with each other, and they actually droop the leading edge. Highly maneuverable airplane. Very interesting about the F-16. The F-16 by General Dynamics use these vortexes that we can't even see. The vortex that comes off the nose on particularly the F-18, but they can control the boundary and the separation. They can delay the stall. This, in conjunction with the computers, makes a very highly maneuverable airplane and can also fly at slow speed.
Now, as he broke right in front of us there, you could see the entire top portion of the aircraft literally enveloped in moisture.
Very pretty aileron roll, very precise. The F-16 is a mid-wing airplane, very much as my airplane is, and that's a naturally excellent rolling combination. The thrust line is right through the wing. But it also takes a good pilot, which Ron is, to produce that perfectly true roll.
And this particular aircraft, the F-16, of course, is now being flown by the United States Air Force Air Demonstration Team, the Thunderbirds, that I had a chance to see last year on Ohio. And with the red, white, and blue paint scheme on their aircraft, Leo, they just make an absolutely splendid formation team. The F-16 is a very pleasing aircraft to look at.
Leo Laudenschlager is perhaps one of America's best-known aerobatic pilots. Certainly all the performers in this show know him, including the Air Force pilot who just gave us the F-16 flight demonstration. The Air Force is well known for its tactical fighter and strike capabilities, but the Navy, too, has long played a part in U.S. military aviation. It began in 1911 in this town, Hammondsport, New York. 75 years ago, a young engine builder inventor named Glenn Curtiss was very caught up with the fresh new challenge of conquering the air. Today, in this small upstate New York community, a town setting not unlike the one which Curtiss lived in as a young man still exists. Now, housed in the building that Curtiss once attended school in is the Glenn Curtiss Museum that in 1986 celebrated the 75th anniversary of his sale of his first aerial hydroplane to the Navy. Among the hundreds in attendance was Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo astronaut Wally Schirra.
You kind of bridge this gap from naval aviation right into the space program. There must be some cosmic significance of this to you.
I remarked on that at the meeting or at the testimonial at the monument for Glenn Curtiss at the lake, that I was sitting there watching these people talking about the OX-5, and Mother and Dad actually barnstormed in a Curtiss Jenny. It was an OX-5. And I began to think, now, really, I'm covering almost, with counting the fact I flew before I was born, I cover 64 years of aviation. And in that 64 years, there are also 25 years of space flight. That kind of ruins my youth image, I admit, Bill, but Alan Shepard flew on May 5th, 1961, 25 years ago. That was our suborbital flight. Our orbital flight, of course, was in February with John Glenn in '62. But we're talking about 25 years of space flying. And during those 25 years, we've had a very successful period, I'd say.
You began your career in naval aviation.
I really did as a former graduate of Teterboro, New Jersey. That was where I hung over the fence as a child watching the likes of Jimmy Doolittle in a GB-1 racer and, I remember Clarence Chamberlain, names such as that. Of course, my dad was an aviator. I keep teasing people. In fact, one of my more recent persons I've teased was Chuck Yeager, who always told me how he flew so much more than I did. And I said, Chuck, I flew long before you did. He said, how can that be? And I said, well, I flew before I was born. Mother was a barnstormer. She quit flying when I was in the hangar. That's her old favorite expression. But from that, I went to the Naval Academy, and then, of course, went into naval aviation during that route. Started flying the old Yellow Peril, the N2S, and ended up at Quonset Point, by the way, flying F-8Fs. So it was my first squadron assignment. And then I was in fighter aviation from then on, until somebody caught me at the Patuxent River, the Naval Air Test Center. And there they found they needed somebody to follow a chimpanzee in orbit.
I'm sure this has been asked you many times, but I'm curious. The first time you went into space, how did you feel?
Well, there are a couple of answers to that. I'm known as a smart astronaut.
Okay.
The first answer is just think this was all put together by the lowest bidder.
That's right.
But the real classic answer is setting out to do something and doing it well. That sense of satisfaction is what I felt in all the flights I had. And that a sense of accomplishment is what you feel. And then you temper that with what people want to hear, and it's something you do feel. You get a philosophy about looking back on Earth. You see, none of those lines that we draw on maps and charts and globes, where man says, this is my turf, and they argue about those lines. We don't see that. Then you see a very thin mantle of atmosphere, and you worry about how well that will hold up. The point is, man better learn there's no place else to go.
One of the highlights of the celebration of the 75th anniversary of naval aviation was a test flight of the Curtiss Pusher A-1 replica, flown by its 79-year-old owner-pilot, Dale Kreitz.
Well, we started out taking north on the Keokuk, and it was very smooth water near the shore, but as we got further out on the lake, the waves began to come from 6 inches. They were beginning up to about a foot and a half, and I decided I'd give it one good try and pull back on the elevators, and it broke water, and we were able to be airborne.
Today's Navy pilots have changed considerably since the days of Glenn Curtiss, as evidenced by this Atlantic Division Top Gun winner, Dale Snodgrass. He pilots the Navy's F-14 Tomcat, flown here today at the Quonset Airshow. This portion of Airshow has been brought to you by General Dynamics.
The smart do-it-yourselfer's game plan includes a run to a True Value hardware store. And while you're there, check out Mecklenburg Duncan winterizing supplies. They're easy to install and make energy-saving sense, like their aluminum and vinyl weather strip that keeps costly heat inside your home. And high-quality door sweeps and thresholds for entry and garage doors are real draft blockers. You'll find a complete lineup of MD weatherproofers at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
If you're looking for good ideas on personal finance, subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Because while there's plenty of money around, unfortunately, it doesn't come with instructions.
Call 800-228-1900 for this special introductory offer. 13 weeks for just $29.75 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.75. Phone 800-228-1900 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Skill, precision, strength, and stamina. To bring you the best, ESPN has assembled an outstanding schedule of NFL games. Every Sunday night, your cable connection to the NFL is ESPN.
Coming up on SportsCenter at 11:30, we'll have a special story on the last competitor to cross the New York Marathon finish line, as well as the National League Rookie of the Year selection and Dale Murphy returning to Atlanta. Join Gail Gardner and Tom Mees tonight at 11:30.
Quite frightening at the prospect of jumping out of an airplane. We have an entire team, one of the most professional in the world, the Army's Golden Knights parachute jumping team.
The Golden Knights are the Army's goodwill ambassadors. The Golden Knights represent the creme de la creme of the Army's airborne division. And many of the Knights have had thousands of jumps. One of the maneuvers they perform is passing a baton from one member to another in free fall. As part of Rhode Island's 350th birthday, one of those batons was presented to the governor on the State House lawn following a jump. Among the various locations we've taken our Airshow cameras is Bridgeport, Connecticut. In addition to being the birthplace of the helicopter, it has many other aviation contributions to its credit. It's also the site of an air show each year. The most recent show is produced by Jim Parker and presented by the Barnum Festival. George Meader was producer-announcer of the previous year's show. One of the favorite acts at Bridgeport is the four-plane Canadian-based Ray-Ban Gold team. We spoke to Rod Ellis, who has been with the team since it was composed of just he and Bill Cowan, and known as the Canadian Reds, about the kind of show they do.
Well, I think we've taken our old show and we've filled in a few of the lulls. There was a space where we'd have 20-second gaps, and with Al being a super solo performer, we've added Lumshevaks and rolling 360s, and it's patterned after or similar to a military team where we do a solo, we do some opposition, seemingly near-miss passes, and then we do some solo maneuvers to fill in the gaps. But I think it's a faster-paced show than what we've had before, and it's a little longer than we've done.
your very own Dave Sales, ladies and gentlemen. Aerobatics done with the decathlon. Dave.
Another repeat act at the Bridgeport show, Connecticut-based Dave Sales, who flies his decathlon through a series of aerobatic maneuvers, culminating with his version of the inverted ribbon cut. For a special treat, we thought we'd take you flying with Dave as he goes through some aerobatic maneuvers.
We've mounted a special camera on the wing strut here to give you an exterior view of what aerobatics looks like.
Among the historical aviation achievements of Bridgeport is the controversial claim by a group of engineers led by retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel William O'Dwyer, who contend that a German immigrant named Gustav Whitehead flew a heavier-than-air powered craft 2 years before the Wright brothers. As part of the Long Island Sound America, or LISA Festival, an organization concerned with the ecosystem of Long Island Sound, a full-scale replica of the Whitehead No. 21 craft was built and tested. It was during this conversation between Morgan Kaoli and the founder of LISA and actor-pilot Cliff Robertson, the 1986 Commodore of LISA, that Robertson became interested in the project and was asked to be a test pilot on its first tethered flight.
How did you become and when an aviator?
Well, it's been a consuming love affair with me. Since I was a little kid, like so many of us, I made little model airplanes, and I used to ride my bicycle 13 miles from La Jolla, California, which is my hometown, into San Diego. And in the summertime, I used to work in the airport there for no money. We would clean engine parts and clean airplanes, and maybe once every 3 or 4 days, they'd take us up in a little Taylor Cub for about 15 minutes.
You have, as I understand, in the aviation world, one of the most incredible vintage, beautiful, mint condition Spitfires. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And tell us a little about that.
Oh, some 20 years ago, I was doing a film in England, and the Belgium Air Force were decommissioning 3 Spitfires, and I heard about it. I also heard a rumor that somebody was going to buy them and cannibalize them for some other Spitfire, and I thought that was sacrilege, so I immediately bought this. Historically, it's a special airplane because of what it did in World War II. It virtually was the deciding factor in changing the Battle of Britain. I mean, had the Battle of Britain, those critical 30-some-odd days, had it been won by the Germans, our whole Western civilization would be different today.
Well, Cliff, we know of your involvement with the Gustav Whitehead project. Are there any other aviation-related projects that you're working on or have worked on?
Well, Bill, I'm not involved in this. I'm an involved friend, spectator, enthusiast. Dick Rutan and his brother Bert Rutan. I talked with Dick last night. I'm with him all the way, and as I'm sure everybody else in the aviation community is, as well as this general public. It's the kind of intrepid, innovative, talented people that we applaud in aviation. They're out there. We like to see them raise their heads and be identified.
There's a lot more to come on Airshow. I know you're going to enjoy it, including the breathtaking wing-walking ability of Bill Fitzsimmons. the antics of the flying farmer, Stanley Segala, and a special feature we did on the Blue Angels. All coming up right here on Airshow.
Phone call could help dramatically improve your golf game. Would you make that call? If a phone call would make you a much better skier, would you make the call? If a simple call could help you lose weight and keep it off without dieting, would you then make that call? If your answer was yes to any of those questions, call Cybervision right now and ask for our free catalog. Cybervision is a revolutionary new technique for self-improvement developed in conjunction with Stanford University. Now, by calling Cybervision, you can carefully examine for yourself everything Cybervision has to offer. If golf is your game, we have programs featuring Stockton, Irwin, Geiberger, Sheehan, and the legendary Bobby Jones. If you're a skier, see why three-time Olympic gold medal winner Jean-Claude Killy calls Cybervision the world's most effective learning technology. Even improve your tennis game with Stan Smith. Cybervision offers a 60-day, no-risk, money-back guarantee. Call now and order our colorful catalog absolutely free. Call 1-800-225-3030 and discover the world of Cybervision.
The place to be Friday is ESPN. The magic year of 1948 boasts Heisman Trophy winner Doak Walker as the king of the Southwest Conference. Next, the 1984 Cowboys' silver anniversary was their 19th straight winning season. Then middleweight Doug DeWitt and super middleweight Len LaPaglia are just two of the great boxers scheduled on Budweiser's Top-Rank Boxing. Finish the night with Breeders' Crown Championship harness racing. Friday night beams total sports on ESPN.
In December of 1986, Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager, along with the help of Dick's brother Bert, who designed the craft they flew, known as Voyager, became the first people to fly around the world without refueling. The radical, innovative design of the Voyager is also evident in other Rutan aircraft, like this one, the Long Easy. One of America's top aerobatic pilots also happens to be Leo Laudenslager's partner. His name is Jim Roberts. Jim also flies the Laser 200. Here at the Quonset show, he demonstrates the Rutan's Long Easy.
Jim Roberts now making his takeoff. The aircraft that he built, the Long Easy. Leo, perhaps you would go into just briefly the effectiveness and the reason for the two wings, if you will, on this aircraft.
Well, one of the big things that you are able to accomplish that way, George, is getting laminar or undisturbed airflow over the fuselage during cruise flight. That's an old theory, really. Bert Rutan has modified the concept to make the forward wing, or the canard, do more wing, so it will stall prior to the rear one, and thereby making it a very stable aircraft.
The first heavier-than-air craft didn't have engines at all. In fact, they were gliders. Today, gliding or sailplaning is an exciting sport enjoyed by many. Here at Quonset, Dennis Galati demonstrates the grace and beauty of his craft. One of the most fascinating and certainly versatile aircraft is the helicopter. As in the case of many aircraft, its military use proved and improved its value. This demonstration shows one military application. It's called rappelling. Around the time that helicopters were first being dreamed about, the only man-made flying craft were lighter-than-air hot air balloons. Today, hot air ballooning is still in vogue as an exciting sport. Throughout the world, balloon rallies have attracted hundreds of balloonists and millions of spectators. This rally is part of the LISA annual Long Island Sound Balloon Crossing. One of the participants is Benihana restaurateur Rocky Aoki. He also enjoys offshore unlimited hydroplane racing, helium ballooning, and of course, hot air ballooning. Rocky is currently planning to set another balloon record by flying this time from Europe across Russia to Japan. He's hoping to take a Soviet cosmonaut along with him.
I start from a hot air ballooning, then went into a helium balloon. I have a world record from Los Angeles to North Dakota, 1982. And 1981, I flew Pacific from Japan to the United States with three other guys. And I made 6,000 miles, 3.5 days, landed in a little town called Coboro, California.
If you haven't been to an air show, it may surprise you to know who goes to them. The fact is, millions of people all over the world, all ages, men, women, children, doesn't make any difference. Aviation holds a special fascination for all of us. So this is a fairly new experience for you then, right?
Yeah. We don't know much about aircraft at all, but the military aircraft are very interesting, and of course we saw Top Gun earlier this summer. We're looking forward to that.
Some of the stuff's old memories from when I was in the Air Force. Just take the kids around and show them what I used to do.
I like the French Connection.
I like every moment. I like everything that's happening here.
It's exciting.
I love flying because I'm a pilot myself, and
You're a pilot?
Yes.
Have you ever done any aerobatics?
Not myself flying. I've been in an aerobatic plane.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Have you been to many?
No, this is the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you come back?
Oh, indeed.
The thing that tickles me most is a lot of these guys are old fellas who are doing all these neat tricks. So there's some hope maybe, huh?
The stunt flying, the aerobatics. It's great.
I like all aspects of air shows. I just enjoy airplanes. It's a lot of fun.
I like watching the planes. I think it's neat.
One of the carryovers in the Quonset show from the original barnstorming days is the art of wing walking. Originally, it was used to attract attention to aviation just about the time that airplanes were becoming somewhat commonplace. Today, it's a display of agility, precision flying, and good showmanship. Ron Shelley flies this Stearman biplane, the same type of plane he trained in when he began his naval aviation career. He talks about the wing walking act.
Bill takes off in the cockpit and lands in the cockpit, and during the rest of the flight, he's all over the aircraft.
He does literally walk around the aircraft?
He walks out primarily to the left wing and waves out there and hangs upside down, and then I do some aerobatics with him out there. And it's basically a summary of what the barnstormers did in the old days.
Bill Fitzsimmons, the man who actually does the wing walking, describes himself as Ron's passenger. He puts danger in perspective.
When people talk to me about the danger, I always ask them if they ever drive down a two-lane highway. And if they say yes, I say, well, you're a stuntman because you're passing a semi at a closing speed of 120 miles an hour and you're going to miss him by 3 feet. You know, what is that? That's horribly dangerous. And yet people do that all day long, you see, but they do it and they get used to it. Yeah. And once they get used to it, then it's not quite so scary.
He started out upside down. He's the one right side up now, and Ron Shelley's upside down.
Exactly. There he is up on top of the wing. We can see Bill Fitzsimmons now as he works his way into the harness on the top wing. He looks very much at home up there, doesn't he?
Well, he does. He's out there climbing around there with nothing holding him on.
Well, Leo, we can see Bill Fitzsimmons there with his arms stretched out at the top of the loop as Ron Shelley completes the back half.
And we talk about G's now. Now he's really got a problem. I mean, standing with 4 or 5 G's, you know, it's one thing to sit, but when you're standing with that much on you, that really is something. If you ever let your body or your neck get away from you, you can seriously injure yourself. I think the one thing that the wing rider wants to show the crowd is that he's not hanging on with his hands. And also it's a way of waving to the crowd to show the crowd what you are doing there.
And that's exactly what he's doing now as they cross Air Show Center. Ron Shelley and Bill Fitzsimmons.
If you'd like to know more about the world of computers, Time Life Books would like to lend a hand, beginning with Computer Basics, the first book in understanding computers, an exciting new series that shows you how computers work and how they work for you. You'll start by learning the binary code, the computer's secret language, and what makes up a silicon chip, the computer's own brain, all in plain, simple English that's clear and easy to read. Then we'll reach out with a close-up peek at modern-day software. You'll see how it's changing the way you shop and controlling the way you drive. with words and pictures that suddenly make the complex simple. Then we'll appear on the scene with a look at what turns computers into the games you play, the music you hear, the technology you depend on, with cutaway diagrams that are easy to follow. Then we'll stretch beyond into the world of computer graphics. You'll be amazed at the life-saving pictures computers take, the fascinating pictures computers create. With understanding computers, you'll look into a world that's changing our lives every day. And while we're giving you that look, we'd like to give you the time, this high-tech calculator alarm watch. So now if you're ready to understand that world of computers, we're ready to lend a hand.
Call 1-800-638-1200. Examine computer basics for 10 days. Keep it a page as $14.99 plus shipping and handling. The watch is free with the purchase. Other books follow. One about every other month on the same trial basis. Cancel anytime. Call 1-800-638-1200.
One of the ingredients of an air show that most people don't expect are the specialty acts. We have one live here with Bob Sears, and we have a special report on Stanley Segella, the flying farmer. First of all, the Avenger, Bob Sears. Bob Sears suddenly appears over the airport, preceded by a Marvel comic-like intro, and is identified only as the Avenger, keeping the world free from evil. Well, there are many such acts that make appearances at air shows throughout the world. A specialty act not only adds an element of showbiz, but also relieves a little tension. You see, aviation on a day-to-day basis is a very serious business. What may look routine, or in some cases carefree, or even reckless, is actually backed by many hours of training, practice, and adherence to safety procedures. So when a specialty act comes on, it takes the crowd a bit by surprise.
Mr. Reynolds, come here, right this one. No, you can fly this one. That doesn't fly. Fly this one? Yeah, but where are you going? Come here, right. Get off there! Hey! Where'd you get this guy? Where do you live? You live around here?
Just across the hill over there. I got a farm. Looks like Rick Reynolds is going to take that farmer for a ride. We'll be getting the next act up soon, right after they depart. Looks like you might have... Oh, see that go right around, folks? That's called the ground loop. A ground loop. Looks like the tail wheel is stuck on that aircraft. Uh-oh, well, you see the door? Now, keep them inside. That's right, Rick. You get out and you straighten it out. That's it. All you kids pay attention to this now, because this is not what you're supposed to do. This guy's being a little unruly. Rick's trying to... Hey, hold on to that airplane, Rick! Hold on to that airplane! Hold on, buddy! Keep holding on! Hey, pull back on the throttle! Pull back on the throttle! He doesn't know how to fly, folks. He's just a farmer. He's hanging out of the airplane asking for help. Hey, hold on, Rick! Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Keep your eye on the propeller, if you can. He's in serious trouble, folks. He doesn't have an engine anymore. He's going to land now. He's going to land now whether he likes it or not. Well, he's got the windows open. Everything's open on the airplane. Oh, no, trying to land on the wheels. On the wheels. Ladies and gentlemen, business as usual. The flying farmer himself from Canton, Connecticut, Mr. Stanley Segella.
Stanley Segella, subject of the book Plain Crazy, is the flying farmer.
When I leave the crowd, I always wiggle a rudder and wobble a wheel around. That's actually part of the show, but
standing it up on his wheels, it's an awful tricky thing to do. Jim Parker does the same thing, and I don't know how he does it with a pitch, but with this Cub, I can hold it up on his main gear and do like a little saber dance with it for the crowd. And it's really a tricky thing, because if you get just a little gust of wind underneath that tail, you're going to hit your propeller, because it's only about 6 or 8 inches off the ground. But actually flying, when I do the loops, I'm about 400 feet off the ground when I start it. And people say, well, it's awful windy today. You're still going to fly. I'd rather fly in a real stiff wind, as long as we don't have no downdrafts in it. Real stiff wind, and it makes the aircraft fly better. And that way I can back it up, make it fly sidewards. But a Cub is a real forgiving aircraft.
Stanley Segala doing the flying summer program. Stanley, an outstanding job.
We got the best team in the state. Yeah! Yeah! We're the best team in the state.
Relax, boys. And one of these days, you might get to play for the best team in the nation.
Yeah, the Montana Grizzlies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Hey, boy.
Whatever team you support, get your school spirit wear at Universal Athletics.
During World War II, this naval air station, Quonset, now decommissioned for use as a state airport, was one of the busiest in the nation. This aircraft, the T-6, was the workhorse of military trainers. Perhaps one of the most famous fighter aircraft to emerge toward the end of World War II was the P-51 Mustang. It's this airplane that Chuck Yeager flew over Europe to become an American flying ace. Today, aircraft are used in some form by every branch of the armed services. Airshow visited Otis National Guard Station, formerly Otis Air Force Base, here in Falmouth, Massachusetts. That's where we met up with the Navy's aerobatic team, the Blue Angels. Now, normally when one thinks of Cape Cod, blue skies and sandy beaches come to mind. Well, this is Falmouth on the Cape, but so is this, the weekend of the Otis Air Show. Well, despite the pouring rain, thousands showed up to see the Blue Angels. George Meader and I were two of those people.
As you can see, people love air shows so much that you're willing to stand in the rain. Very little sun all morning and all afternoon just to watch a good air show.
Fortunately, on the previous Friday, we caught up with the Blue Angels during practice. 1986 marked the 40th anniversary of the team. And by the way, Leo Laudenslager was made an honorary member. Number 6 of the Blue Angels is Lieutenant David Anderson.
What is it that makes a person, I guess this has to be an individual answer, want to be a member of the Blue Angels?
I don't think anyone on the team would tell you that we fly for the public. I think we fly for self-satisfaction, and if we please ourselves after an air show, then we've really done something. And unfortunately, we don't do that very often. We can always find something we should improve upon. And I think that's the attitude of just about every military pilot. Yes, there's a certain amount of patriotic loyalty that brings you into the military or makes you originally start thinking about it. But the only thing I believe that really keeps a pilot in is the sheer fun of flying. It's certainly not the money. It's certainly not the time you get to spend at home. It's not the benefits. It's simply that it's a very challenging job and it's a very rewarding job.
upset of the week is brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need. The Philadelphia Flyers, Wales Conference champions just last season, are reeling in the Patrick this go-around. Their meeting in the Igloo versus the Penguins resulted in a humiliating 5-1 defeat and extended the Flyers' scoreless run on the power play to 43. The loss also sent the once potent Flyers to the basement of the Patrick division. The Pepto-Bismol upset of the week.
I'm home.
Hi, Mom.
Is your brother home yet?
He's upstairs. He says he feels yucky.
Bobby?
He ate a bunch of junk after school. The kid eats like a maniac. Oh, I feel yucky.
I've got just what you need.
Here it comes, the soothing relief of Pepto-Bismol. The one that coats is the only one you need.
Feeling better?
What time's dinner? Maniac.
Friday, the USBA middleweight title is on the line. Doug DeWitt battles undefeated Tony Thornton when Budweiser presents Top Rank Boxing, live Friday at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Well, this is the moment of truth, the moment we've been waiting for all afternoon. And that, of course, is Leo Laudenschlager is going to be performing for us. And, Leo, we've heard you speak, and now we're going to see you fly. Tell us a little about the Bud Light 200.
Well, I'm, of course, looking forward to flying, because flying is, to me, what it is all about. I have a side of the airplane is small letters, beautiful obsession, and indeed it has been an obsession for 15 or 16 years of my life through the building and modifying and then teaching the pilot how to fly it.
On takeoff roll now, Leo Laudenschlager rolls the aircraft to knife edge, and Rudder walks the airplane, waving to the crowd here at Quonset. Coming in from the left now as Leo eases back on the stick and rotates the aircraft right straight up into the sky. Rolling the aircraft to the left, pushing over the top now and setting up for the 2.5 inside snap roll. Watch carefully, he'll pull back on the stick here, stalling the airplane. 2.5 times around in the snap roll, recovering and inverted, and quickly rolling the aircraft to knife edge now. 4 to 5 negative G's trying to pull his body out of the cockpit in this 360-degree maneuver, right on knife edge. Leo finishes the maneuver and begins a series of gentle aileron rolls to the left, right over the runway. Leo Laudenschlager in the Bud Light 200, coming in from the right now, taking the aircraft straight up into the sky, gently rolling to the left. Leo will be setting up now for the torque roll. In just a couple of seconds, the torque of the engine will take control of the aircraft, and the aircraft will begin to gently roll to the left and come back through the smoke. Let's watch now. He's beginning the roll. The aircraft comes right down through the smoke. Leo holding the axis just beautifully, letting the aircraft tumble tail over nose and recovering the aircraft right over the runway. Coming in from the left now, setting up for the Lumpshavak. Watch carefully as the aircraft right now will start to tumble out of control for 2 or 3 seconds. Leo goes through the maneuver, picks up his reference points on the ground, does a beautiful recovery. Coming in from the left now, Leo will be setting up for the computer roll. We'll start out with a double inside snap roll, and here we go. Now for the gentle half of the maneuver, Leo takes the aircraft, rolls it to the left, back to the right, and begins a series of rolls. You can see how gently and easily the aircraft can be maneuvered. Setting up now the inverted ribbon cut low over the runway, centering on the ribbon, pushing up, and taking out the ribbon. A 3/4 outside snap roll finishes the maneuver. Watch again in slow motion. You can see him take the ribbon and begin the snapping maneuver. Once again from another angle. Leo Laudenschlager in the inverted ribbon cut.
Come from working on Thailand Beach. Try to make some supper that I can't even eat. Jump in the shower, watch the world from my back. I'm gonna get you, baby, that's a natural fact. In the night time, that's the right time. I wanna be with you in the night time.
The night belongs to Michelob.
Showtime has exclusive movies you won't see on HBO. Not this month, not next month, not next year. Showtime has the hits HBO misses.
Well, that's our program for this afternoon. We hope you have enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed the flying ability and also your added comments to us this afternoon. Leo Laudenslager, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure for me to work with professionals, and I really enjoy having the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you very much. George Meter, you have also helped us out in terms of explaining to the audience what they've been seeing, because let's face it, you don't see aerobatics every day.
No, you don't. It was a great pleasure to work with you here at Quonset, and we hope you have the opportunity to do it again. Thank you very much.
And we thank you for joining us here on Airshow. We'll see you next time.